Hi, welcome to my channel. I'm AJ and I'm going to take a second to introduce myself. So I have some videos uploaded. I really took quarantine and that time to evaluate what I wanted to do with my life and realized I need to start taking myself a bit more seriously. And because of that, I planned out some videos. I've just been working on myself, my interests, my startup company, and now my channel. So this is kind of like the first video where I'm actually doing this with a plan. Over the years, I've uploaded a bunch of videos because I've always loved YouTube, but I never really took it seriously. I never did it consistently, and I'm hoping to change that. So today I'm bringing you a video about fashion internships. In this video, I'm going to talk about my own experience, what's the difference between paid and unpaid internships, and some negotiating tactics, how to get experience. And then I'm going to talk about what skill sets you should develop, put on your resume. So I hope you find this helpful. Like, comment, subscribe, whatever you do. I'm always available to answer any questions. So first question is, why should you listen to me? What's my background? What's my experience? Like, why? Why would you even give a shizzle or some person on the internet is saying to you? I thought filming like this only made sense in the era of Zoom interviews and such. Much like me, the fashion industry is always changing and adapting to the world around it. I have a background in retail environments, showrooms, and product development. I am a fast-paced and driven individual skilled at problem solving with a passion for working in small team environments, while also being skilled at working independently. I have 5 years of experience in the fashion industry, and in those 5 years, I had 2 luxury showroom positions. I worked in a small, intimate retail environment at a local boutique, and I also have familiarity in working in big box retail, such as working at Anthropologie, where I got to see the front end of a corporate retail business. I have been an assistant buyer and a participant in multiple New York market weeks, where I got to see and become familiar with the buying and selling process of the wholesale calendar. Besides that, I also have worked on multiple product development teams and numerous individual products on developing packaging and products for various companies in the accessory, luxury, and direct-to-consumer market. That was kind of awkwardly formal. However, that's kind of how I would act in an interview, and that's kind of how I would talk to someone who was interviewing me for a position. So if that wasn't too rough, let's get back to the video. So, what's the difference and what's the information about unpaid and paid internships? I'm going to talk about unpaid internships first. My first and only unpaid internship was when I was 17 years old. I worked for a children's jewelry company. It was my first job experience besides being like a waitress and working at a deli. So I had no skills. Okay, I had skills as in, like I said, I was familiar with Instagram marketing, blogging, and I said, I had retail experience because I worked a cash register position at the deli, but I didn't really have a very built resume. And this position was unpaid because I didn't really have any skills or ability to negotiate. And I was so young that I was living 100% on my parents' dollar. So because of that, it was okay for me to be taking an unpaid position. In my opinion, overall, unpaid internships are somewhat unethical, and I think they are kind of designed to gatekeep the fashion community, because if you're someone who needs money to live, pay their rent, pay their bills, pay for school, etc., you don't really have 30 hours a week to be working for someone for free. And it makes it so that only wealthy people or people with connections can work in the industry. And I think that's pretty unacceptable. However, there are a ton of unpaid internships available. And if you have no experience at all, you might have to take an unpaid internship. But you'd also be surprised that if you're in your late teens or 20s and you've worked like any cash register position or you have any experience like with life, you should be able to leverage those skill sets a little bit to say that you bring value to a company. Only other exception that when you should take an unpaid internship is some schools offer an internship class, or it might be something you can get credit for. So in that case, you should take a unpaid internship for credit. A lot of bigger companies will offer unpaid internships because they're expecting you to be kind of like blinded by their name and think that you're getting like a bigger experience because they're some sort of reputable company. And I'm here to tell you that that is not true. For instance, Nylon Magazine offers only unpaid internships, even though it's like a huge magazine. So I interviewed with them and I got offered a position, and then they told me it was unpaid, and I didn't accept it because I needed money to be living in New York City. I then took a paid internship opportunity at a showroom, and then I was looking at the interns from Nylon resumes, and we did all the same tasks. So there was no reason, unless you really felt passionate about having Nylon Magazine on your resume, to take the unpaid position. If you feel really passionate about having a brand name or about a position that is unpaid, there is something you can try to do in your interview or after you're hired, which is negotiate. Now, negotiation can be, for instance, saying something, is there room for growth in this position? And that gives them an opportunity to say if they would hire you from the internship, because if they're going to hire you after you already have all the training done for free, that's a good position. Another negotiating tactic is to ask for a lunch budget or a transport budget. If you commute to the job, you should be able to politely negotiate having a Metro card paid for, or for lunch to be provided in the office or something. Paid internships are basically jobs. They're basically like you are the starter position below the starter position. And a lot of times paid internships might be paid like slightly less than the beginning level position. And usually in a paid internship, there's room for growth because they're investing in you financially and with their time, opposed to an unpaid internship where they're just kind of giving you time. And they might even be giving you worse tasks if it's an unpaid internship because you don't count as much of a value in the company. Another topic I wanted to cover was, how do you get experience? This is like the key question. It's basically, how do you get hired? And once you have experience, then you can get better jobs. First, I'm going to cover how you get experience if you're in high school or you have no experience or you're just kind of like a beginner trying to figure it out. Maybe you're a freshman or sophomore in college. But to be honest, the first job or the first internship is going to be the hardest. It is usually the most difficult to get because once you start having 1 or 2 positions on your resume, it's so much easier to end up with 4 or 5 or 6 positions. Obviously, there's some nuances to this if you have like a hyper-specific position that you're interested in, but for most fashion-based jobs, people will have like a typical base resume where they're just kind of like trying different jobs out, and then after they've tried a couple jobs out, they start to specialize. A great basic job position is to be working in retail. You should have at least 6 months of retail experience if that's going to be your first position. You can go for any big box store such as Anthropologie, Free People, Urban Outfitters. My first retail position was at a boutique. I enjoyed working at the small boutique much better. It's a much more intimate experience, a lot less stressful. I felt like I learned a lot more. If retail isn't an option for you, you could always go to different businesses. It doesn't even necessarily have to be fashion businesses in your area, and offer to help them with social media. And then you can just offer to do their social media for free or do their social media for $100 a month. You will be able to just go in once a week, once every 2 weeks, take pictures of their product, take pictures of their business in action. This is great. You can have 4 or 5 clients, and it's a great way to build your resume. It's a great way to say you did freelance. It shows an entrepreneurial spirit. Another way to get experience, whether you're unexperienced or during COVID or you're in another career path, is to take classes. A lot of schools from Harvard to Penn State to Boulder to UCLA are offering free classes online right now where you can get a certificate and put that on your resume. And another way to take classes is to go to a local school and see if they have a high school credit program. Or for instance, I know the Fashion Institute of Technology has a pre-college course, which is something I did throughout high school. It doesn't necessarily count for credit, but it's super helpful to have things that show you're interested, that you're willing to learn, that you have a fresh skill set on your resume. Something to take advantage of during the coronavirus is that most companies are hiring from remote positions. So if you are not located directly in New York or LA or what you would consider a fashion capital, or in the suburbs of that said fashion capital, you can apply for positions right now remotely because they're going to interview you via Zoom and they're not going to require you to come in right away. So you could do an internship for a few months without having to worry about relocation fees or having to move your location for a position. What skills should you have? So just run down some quick skills that you should probably put on your resume or say that you have is social media expertise, social media knowledge, web design, organization, punctuality, go-getter, you're a mover and a shaker, adaptable, problem solver. A lot of places do influencer marketing. Quick on your feet. You should be good at working in a team environment while also working independently. For any medium to small size company, having web knowledge is something that's really good to position yourself. If you can work on their website and solve problems for them, I found that my knowledge of Shopify, WordPress, Wix, basic social media knowledge has solved a lot of problems for companies that I've worked for that are smaller. Being articulate, but being a good listener. Cashier skills. You're knowledgeable about the ins and outs of the fashion industry. Insert whatever specific part of the industry you're in. Copywriting. But overall, don't be shy on your resume. If you have been in Shopify backend, then you're aware of how to work Shopify. If you have an Instagram account, a Facebook account, TikTok, Snapchat, whatever else, then you are intimately aware of the ins and outs of how to market and utilize the functions of various social media platforms to leverage product and connect with individuals that could become potential consumers of the product at hand. That's literally it. Like you just have to make yourself sound like a product that they would like to consume and use for their benefit. I just made that up off the top of my head, so it might not be the best worded term, but that is something that you could put on your resume. Like you just want to be very important to them and tell them what your problems you're going to solve for them. So think of problems they might have and then write your resume like you're solving those problems. Okay, so that is pretty much everything I had to say about fashion internships and the advice that I could think of to offer people who are applying for internships. If you have any questions, like I said, comment below, DM me, Instagram message me, email me, whatever. I love helping people, and I would love to see you in your dream position. What I hope you took away from this video is that experience is key, Make your own opportunities. Do not be afraid to sell yourself and to go for opportunities that are bigger than you are. Build skill sets and believe in yourself. Just go for it. Like, what's the worst they're gonna do? Say no? Okay, then you have 500 other positions to apply for. There's no reason that you shouldn't go for the position that you want. You have to advocate for yourself because no one else is going to advocate for you. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I can't wait to talk to you all again soon.